I entered my house after a 30-mile bike ride and found my wife sitting at the table with a serious expression on her face. Most men would have felt like, oh shit, but I knew what was going on. It will be very difficult to match her seriousness. Jack, we need to talk, Jesse said. Can I take a shower first, Jesse? I'd rather get this over with. Of course, it was important what Jesse preferred, but I knew that this only increased my sarcasm level. I took a glass of iced tea and sat down. Jack, I know this is going to hurt you, but I was having an affair. With Mark or someone else. Everyone knows about your meetings with Mark, so let me know if it's with anyone else. I liked the look of shock on her face. It's not with someone else. What kind of woman do you think I am? Oh, Jesse, you really want me to answer that question because it's going to ruin your little speech that you've been planning all week. A look of shock appeared on her face again. Wait a minute. What do you mean? Everyone knows. Jesse, you weren't the most perceptive during this whole case, but I think an elementary school teacher should understand what everyone knows means. Jessie was clearly puzzled. She stared at the script she had prepared, searching for answers that weren't there. I tried my best to keep a serious expression on my face and was afraid that I would start laughing. Wait, how long have you known? Since the middle of last school year. I'm pretty sure that's when your meetings with Mark began. Why didn't you say anything? We're getting off topic. Jesse, judging by the papers in your hand, you have something to tell me. But to answer your question, you were incredibly unpleasant to me for many years before this all started. I admit that your meetings with Mark have completely destroyed what little I have left of my feelings for you, and forced my lawyer to prepare the divorce papers. After I quickly went through all the stages of frustration several times, I realized that your trouble had decreased to a tolerable level. More importantly, you left me alone. Jessie was really confused now. She barely noticed the insults. Who else knows? It's a very long list, Jessie, and I'm sure I don't know everyone on that list. Telegraph, telephone, tell the woman. If you narrow down the list a bit, I might be able to help you. Do the children know? Oh, yes, you would have found it sweet, except for the words they used to describe their mother, the woman who betrayed the family. I was sitting in the living room watching TV when the three of them came with Stephen as a representative. I was so impressed with the level of thoroughness of his prepared speech. He was so worried that I would be devastated. They looked confused when I told them with a smile on my face that I knew everything. We went to the kitchen and had a great time talking about everything over ice cream. The only question they didn't have an answer to was, are you really that careless? Or did you think we were like that? Have you ever noticed that they haven't talked to you or shown you any warmth since you started dating Mark? But to cut this part of the conversation short, you have to assume that everyone we know knows, except maybe your parents, whom I've always disliked. Tears began to form in Jessie's eyes, and her hands began to tremble. You've got a lot more to say, Jessie. Let's continue, please, I said with a wide grin on my face. She looked at me, and I saw that she was going into her usual defensive mode. All I wanted to tell you is that I've decided to end my relationship with Mark and focus on us. She looked like, I don't know, maybe I should throw myself at her feet and thank her for giving us a second chance. Or that violins or trumpets should be playing in the background. She didn't realize that looking at her made me feel sick. With a serious expression on my face, and I was serious, I said, Jessie, I was hoping that in the last moments of our marriage, you would show me some respect and be honest with me. Maybe you don't remember how to do it anymore. I know you weren't going to end your relationship with Mark. What? How? What do you mean? You remember Mark's wife, Linda, don't you? We've always been friends, but after everything started with you, we became very good friends, but without any ulterior motives. Neither of us wanted to stoop to the level of the people who cheated on us. Of course, after meeting you, she no longer felt threatened. We talked a lot, and recently she informed me that Mark was no longer interested in her as a life partner. She gave him an ultimatum. If he doesn't end the relationship with you, she will divorce him. Of course, he gave up, and that was supposed to be his speech to you on Monday. There were tears in her eyes. Mark wasn't just dating me. Yes, it's unpleasant, isn't it? It's like someone stuck a knife in your back. I can understand that. Jessie leaned back, almost falling out of her chair. Yes, Mark ended his relationship with me, but I've been thinking about the same thing for a long time. He didn't say anything about Linda demanding a breakup. I've told you what Mark should have told you, but I'm afraid I'll have to tell Linda, and Mark will be in even more trouble. He might want to meet you again, but that's none of my business. It took me a while to get over the whole situation, But the real blow wasn't Jesse's relationship, but the sympathetic looks from other people. Then I started riding a bike, finding solace in solitude. You look very depressed. Jesse, Linda, and I go to the same psychologist. She's very nice. Can I give her your number? Do you and Linda go to the same psychologist? We don't go out together every time. Maybe once every 2 weeks. This helps us to maintain normal contact and discuss problems with a neutral person. There is no enmity between us, and there has never been. We've really become good friends. She's a beautiful, intelligent woman, the same age as you, but she looks younger. I know it's unpleasant to hear, but it's true. I added it for a reason. He wanted Jessie to realize what she had lost. We discovered that we have a lot in common. When you and Mark were immersed in your meetings, Linda and I found joy in other things, movies, concerts, walks. Last month, we went to a Springsteen concert together. We managed to get good tickets. We enjoyed spending time with people who know how to appreciate good company. I wanted her to understand that I was no longer attached to her. Write down the rest of the questions, and we'll discuss them later. I'll tell the children about our conversation. Maybe you should go to your parents, think about your life, and draw conclusions. While I was turning on the water in the shower, I sent the kids a message saying that their mom had made an important confession today. I heard Jessie leave, and I made an appointment to meet Linda for lunch in an hour. I forgot my phone, and when I came back, I saw you leaving, and I followed you when you went to lunch with that woman. I could barely contain myself, and when I spoke, Jessie started backing away. Jessie, Linda is not what you say she is. On the contrary, it's people who say such words about you, and deservedly so. I'm trying to be sincere, and you don't want to keep insulting the friend who helped me deal with the despair your affair has plunged me into, do you? Am I making myself clear? I'm sorry, Jack. It was just a terrible day. Everything didn't go as planned. I wanted to hit someone. You can't imagine how I felt watching the two of you, because I was supposed to be sitting across from you. Jessie, you must be crazy. How do you think I felt every time I saw you with Mark, knowing that you were having an affair? I'm sure what you felt couldn't compare to the pain I felt. Jessie started crying again, and I left the kitchen to watch TV. She looked for sympathy from me, but she didn't get it. During her affair, her friends started judging her. Any woman who started a relationship with a married man was a threat to their marriage. I'm not sure if her parents or siblings knew about it. To begin with, she had never been close to her siblings. At the beginning of our relationship, I tried my best to be friendly with her parents, but it ended when they ignored Stephen's birth. A few hours later, I came into the kitchen to cook something for dinner. Cooking dinner has become the norm for me because I never knew when Jessie would be busy with her friend. She was still sitting at the kitchen table, looking almost numb. She looked at me as I took out the pans. I was going to make a pie for dinner. Really? I can't remember the last time you cooked a meal that I ate. It's part of your focus on us, because I want to make it completely clear. You must be really naive to think that you can spend a year cheating on me, and that when it's over, there will be us. I've changed my mind. Cook whatever you want. I'm going out to eat. Can I come with you? I laughed, shaking my head. I don't want to be in public with you anymore. It would be so embarrassing. I don't want anyone to get the impression that I've taken you back. Jessie was crying when I left, and I realized that I wasn't really hungry. Nearby, about a mile from the parking lot, there was a mountain with a beautiful view. It was a great place to refresh my thoughts, and I headed there. I was surprised to see Linda there. I'm sorry to bother you. Linda, I didn't know you were here. Jack, it's wonderful to see you. I'm sorry I gave Mark that ultimatum. Now he's trying his best to be accommodating. He was acting weird when he heard about Jessie. Everything should have remained as it is. They would have left everything alone, and then, I do not know. I've been wondering if there were advantages to the status quo, but now Jessie is crying at my kitchen table, wanting to focus on us, as if after a year of cheating, we could make up. She followed me to the restaurant and saw us having lunch. She actually told me how much it hurt her that she wasn't the one sitting at the table with me. I must be in some kind of twilight zone. I feel the same way, Jack, because of what Mark says. Almost every time he says something, I'm left stunned. Jack, I'm grateful that I have you in my life, the person I can rely on. I'm worried about what will happen to us after our spouses receive their documents on Monday. Our relationship started because of their infidelities. Linda, I have to categorically disagree with your last statement. Our cheating spouses may have been the reason for our meetings, but now it's much more than that. And it was this relationship that saved my sanity. Again, men misunderstand signals all the time, but I hope that after Monday we will have the opportunity to be together. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but I'll be happy as long as you're in my life. Linda hugged me. I'm sorry I crossed the line, Jack. No, Linda, but I don't want to go deeper yet, because as soon as I release the brakes, I may not be able to stop. We are so close to the end of this story. I'm glad you have the nerve. This is how our relationship works. We support each other when we need it. And I almost forgot. Stephen invited us to dinner tomorrow night in front of Jessie, and that was right after he told her that the three of them didn't consider her their mother anymore and she shouldn't mess with them. I'd love to have dinner with you. We spent all this time together, and we never mentioned our children. It would be great to meet them. We need to figure something out with my son and daughter. Let me call Stephen and ask if we can put a +2 tomorrow, or it will be a +3 or 4. Let's make it +3. My daughter recently broke up with her last boyfriend. He was cheating on her, of course. Stephen and his wife were delighted with the +3 event. Linda's children were a little more restrained, but agreed to come. Stephen was the only one who had ever dated Linda before. We were at the restaurant when Stephen and his wife came in. I introduced them to each other, and then called Stephen and told him about our relationship as friends. He didn't say anything, but his voice sounded much calmer. He called me back a few minutes later and apologized for judging my relationship, and despite everything Jessie did, I deserved someone in my life. I know he told his siblings about it because they were always joking about our meetings. The dinner was great. Everyone seemed delighted, especially my youngest David and Linda's daughter. The two of them talked a lot, and I know they had plans for next weekend. I knew it was going to be a busy Monday morning, so I texted Linda, "No matter what happens today, I really want us to be together when everything settles down. Jack, I can't disagree that hope is probably the only thing that helps me get through this. I'm so glad David and Lisa got along yesterday. I talked about him all the way home. I haven't seen her so happy in a long time. Mark was furious when his dinner wasn't on the table last night, and I thought he was going to have a nervous breakdown when he found out we were at your place. I took the day off on Monday, not knowing how Jessie or Mark would react. Jessie flew out into the driveway immediately after receiving the documents and rushed into the house so quickly that she did not notice the for sale sign on the lawn in front of the house. What does that mean, Jack? I said that I finished my novel because I wanted to focus on us, and you're filing for divorce in front of my colleagues. Can you imagine how embarrassed I was? Let's look at this sentence, Jessie. First of all, it wasn't you who broke off the relationship. It was your sneaky lover who did it. Secondly, I told you that there would never be a us after you spent the last year cheating on me. Thirdly, all your colleagues knew that you were having an affair, so I'm not sure what you were embarrassed about. Maybe they were laughing at you for getting what you deserved. Jessie lowered her head and collapsed into a chair. So, what now, Jack? I suggest you hire a lawyer and ask him to review the divorce papers. I'm afraid there won't be much property to share. I was incredibly depressed when you contacted Mark and started gambling. Of course, I started with a big win and then lost almost everything else. Linda saved me and connected me with the Gamblers Anonymous organization, which in her consultant helped pay for the children's education. At the same time, when you started dating Mark, I got fired and lost my job. Thanks to my severance package and temporary job, I was able to keep us from going bankrupt, but my severance package ended last week. I'm afraid there won't be any payments for you. Most likely you'll owe me. Jesus, Jack, what a mess you've made. Jessie, it all started when you contacted Mark. If this hadn't happened, I would never have started gambling and wouldn't have walked around like a zombie when my company was reorganizing. You created it. It's not mine. I'm going to pack my things and stay with my parents. I can't believe you've wasted 23 years like that. Considering that you spent the last year with Mark, it would have been only 22 years, and I think anyone would agree that you threw them away when you first decided to be with him. Fuck you, Jack. Just fuck you. Jessie came downstairs half an hour later, dragging her suitcase behind her. Can you help me with that, Jack? I carried the bag to her car and put it in the trunk. By the way, Jessie, your car lease expires next month, and I won't renew it, and your cellular data plan is also ending. Without severance pay, I just can't afford it. Fuck you, Jack. I don't need you. Then she saw the for sale sign, and her eyes lit up as if she saw diamonds. I'm entitled to half of the proceeds when you sell the house, right? If this were our house, you'd be right. But it was never ours. It was my grandparents' house, owned by a trust, and I was allowed to live here. As soon as I move out, the house will need to be sold, and the proceeds will be returned to the trust. Fuck you, Jack. I felt pretty smug. Years of financial planning had paid off. An experienced lawyer with qualified forensic expertise might have been able to find where the money went, but I had well-documented gambling losses that would be difficult to dispute, even if the actual losses were minor. But as far as I know, Jesse didn't have the money to hire an experienced lawyer or a forensic accountant. I sent Linda a text telling her about the main events of my morning. She said that Mark came home at lunchtime and said that he was very sorry that everything ended the way it ended. Then he packed up all his things and left. I don't even know which is better, she wrote. Your relationship ended loudly, and mine ended almost imperceptibly. While we were texting, the new mattress I ordered had already been delivered, and there were new linens in the trunk of my car. Why don't you come to dinner tonight, Linda, and start a new chapter in our lives? Let's go out to eat, Jack. I bought a beautiful dress especially for this evening, and I can't wait for people to see me in it next to you. This is our first meeting together. And, by the way, I brought a bag with me. You never know what you'll need.